The most recent videos that I have been posting here on the channel have of course been from the great walks that I was hiking primarily over the last summer season, and I do want to continue along in that vein in this video today and also in future videos over the coming weeks. This video series will be primarily directed at beginner hikers or those who are relatively new to hiking and tramping in New Zealand and perhaps haven't yet had the opportunity to get out on a multi-day trip or a great walk. In today's video, I'm hoping to give you my suggestions and tips for how best to plan your clothing on your upcoming New Zealand Great Walk. Now, clothing is probably one of the most common places where I see people overpacking, and I have to hold my hand up and say that when it comes to clothing, I do tend to overpack myself. But what you do need to remember is that the trail is not a fashion parade. This is not the place where you need to make sure that you've got 6 or 7 different changes of clothes. All you need to make sure is that you have enough different clothing options to get you through the particular conditions that you're expecting to experience. Now, for the vast majority of you who will be hiking the Great Walks, you'll probably be going within the Great Walk season. So that is a season specifically set to be over the warmest months of the year, generally between October and April or May. But just bear in mind that if you are hiking at either end of that season, it probably is going to be a little bit colder at nighttime as well, so you'll need to be prepared for that. Now, in general, with all my experience of hiking and tramping over the last 3 or 4 years, I have learned to really pare down my clothing to make sure that I just have basically 2 sets of clothes with me. My first set is obviously the set that I am going to be hiking with, and generally that will consist of either shorts or leggings that I will wear to hike with during the day, some kind of singlet or merino top that I'll wear underneath a long sleeve sun layer to keep myself from getting burnt. And then outside of my hiking set of clothes, I then also have a complete set of dry clothes with me as well, which I often refer to as my hut clothes. So I refer to these as my dry set of clothes because those are the clothes that theoretically would keep me as safe as possible if I were to get into a situation where I might contract hypothermia. So if I've been hiking all day in the pouring rain and potentially even strong wind and I might become mildly hypothermic, the idea is that I can get to the hut at the end of the day, get out of my wet clothes entirely, put on a complete dry set of clothes and then start warming myself up. On top of my set of hiking clothes and my set of hut clothes, I do also have a few other items of clothing that I carry with me. So most obviously that is going to be my waterproof gear, and I tend to use a pair of waterproof pants and also a waterproof jacket. Now, because of the nature of what I am doing, what I have done in the past, I've chosen to make sure that my waterproof gear is some of the top rated gear that you can possibly get on the market. I make sure that my jackets have at least a 20,000mm hydrostatic head rating, and the same with my pants if I can possibly achieve that. Now, I stay away from just the showerproof jackets, packable max, packable rain pants, because they tend not to stand up to the kinds of conditions that I personally hike in New Zealand. Specifically, if I'm doing a trail which involves quite a bit of bush bashing, those things can get caught on bushes or little branches and sticks sticking out and potentially rip, and then of course you lose all of that waterproofing. So I tend to go with something that is a little bit more heavy duty, but I don't go all the way to what I'd call the full tramping rain jackets that a lot of New Zealand trampers use, just because I don't hike a lot in those wet conditions, and personally for me it just doesn't make that much sense at the moment. Most of the Great Walks during the Great Walk season are going to be pretty good weather most of the year around, but of course if you are going to be heading down to somewhere like Fiordland, attempting either the Milford track, potentially the Kepler track or even the Rootburn, then we all know that the rain down there can be pretty severe at times, so you might just decide that it is worthwhile getting a much more sturdy heavy duty rain jacket and rain pants if necessary to get you through that kind of weather. I then also have my insulating or warm layers, so I specifically typically choose to take a down jacket with me. Now, this is not to be used for hiking in. You'll probably find that if you start to hike in a down jacket, you're going to get very hot very quickly. And also, you don't want to take the risk of your down jacket becoming wet or moist, because the second that the down jacket does get wet, the down inside it will start to clump together and then it loses all of its insulating properties. So I keep my down jacket packed away in the bottom of my pack until I absolutely need it. Usually it's just at the hut in the evenings when I might want to put it on just for an extra level of insulation. And then I also have a beanie and a set of gloves that I carry with me regardless of what season it is. And just on the final topic before we move on, you will also need to think about things like socks and underwear. So for the vast majority of the time, I'm generally only carrying one extra set of underwear with me, and being a woman, what I actually do is just use panty liners in my underwear to try and keep that nice and fresh, and change my undies only every 2 days or so. And then I'll generally only just have one extra pair of socks, which I will use just in the hut at night time, and to keep my feet warm during the night, obviously. And then during the day, I'm wearing a 2-sock system. One is a pair of liner socks that I'll wear underneath a thicker pair of wool socks, and the liner socks are basically toe socks, and they just keep my toes nice and separated to reduce the friction that might build up in my feet and cause blisters. That is the end of this installment. I hope that you have found it very helpful and informative in terms of planning your gear list for your upcoming great walks. If it has been a little bit broad and you would like a few more specifics, then please don't hesitate to leave me a comment down below or get in touch with me via the contact form on my website. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to stay tuned for the next installment coming soon.